So it's times like these where I have to seriously contemplate whether or not I want to delete a bunch of video footage, fix this issue, and like forget it never happened and not share it with you so that I don't look like a complete idiot. But hey, where's the fun in that? So I just realized that during the disassembly I had to remove 3 bolts that hold the camshaft onto the hub of the injector pump. So I've been running this thing with the camshaft, with the injection timing pump gear unbolted. The only thing that's making it rotate is the fact that it's got that pin on there. So the gear is probably doing something horrible like this, and that's where all that noise is coming from. So Moron Steve is going to take a few minutes to put these bolts back in, and then we'll see what it sounds like. Alright, now I got those bolts back in, so I guess if you want to... Hold on, I got to hook a wire up. Alright, good. Try and start it. Well, obviously you can't run it with the bolts out. Alright, I'm going to have to hook the cooling system back up next though, because it's getting way too hot just sitting here. Making some serious progress though. So it's been about a week since I last worked on this at least. And what I did today was I decided, since I hadn't ordered the new cross member there yet, because it's like 150 bucks, that I would just bolt the new tank in, strap the new tank in temporarily, because it's not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to like go down the highway with it like that, but it's good enough for the purposes of just testing and seeing whether or not we can get this running better, and check the transmission out, make sure it drives okay, all that kind of stuff. And once I'm satisfied that that is all good, then we can start ordering some of these replacement parts like that cross member and the body panels, and Mark can start doing some of the patchwork on the body. So I've got the new tank in. I re-cleaned the new sending unit or pickup. That had already gotten that waxy buildup on it again. I just put in 5 gallons of high-end premium diesel. I know it's high-end because it cost me $6.39 a gallon, so it must be. And then I added this stuff, this Hot Shots Secret Diesel Extreme Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner and Cetane Booster.
The mouthful.
Yeah, so the cetane booster is a lubricant that takes the place of what sulfur used to do in diesel fuel, but now diesel is low sulfur for the environment, so diesel doesn't have as good a lubricating quality as it used to. So it's going to take a little bit probably to get the air out of the system in that, because we switched over from that temporary tank to the new tank.
Okay, just tell me when.
Go.
All right.
Yeah, battery's running down too low. Yep, hit reset and then engine start.
I know.
Okay.
All right.
It's run down too low.
So we'll be able to start it today then.
Yeah, we're actually running it off of just one battery because the other battery, it's a dual battery setup, and I've been stealing the other battery out of the Dodge, and I just didn't feel like doing it. We actually had it sputtered a little bit. It almost started, but I think then it got to the point where in the lines where there was a lot of air. So we've got a thunderstorm warning. It's very hot and humid, and you could tell there's a very unstable air mass around here. So, oh, did you hear that unstable air mass? So we'll throw the battery on the charger, and then don't knock the clamp off.
I'm not.
Okay. And then we'll come back out after the storm passes. All right, so the storm has passed us, and I came back out here and I purged the rest of the air out of the system, and now I'm getting good fuel pressure indicated on the fuel pressure gauge that I have off the tap. So I think it's going to start. I forgot to plug the fuel pump relay back in.
Battery thing?
Fuel pump relay. Bad fuel in the injector lines and everything. It's going to take a couple minutes for it to start running the new fuel through it. Look at that. There we go. It's already clearing up. Stop smoking! I just shut it off because I have the return line off going into a different bottle so that the remainder of the bad fuel will not be going back into the tank with the new fuel. But I think I got enough of that out of there now. I'm going to hook up the return line back to the tank and restart it.
Are you going to drive it today?
I don't know. Alright, return line's hooked back up. Let's try restarting it. Hold on. Okay. That's how it should run. A little smoke when you first start it, and it should clear right out, like that. Idle seems a little high, but it might be on high idle until it warms up. So the battery voltage isn't going to go up when I rev it because the alternator is not spinning. I don't have the belt back on. Right. Well, cooling it for the small amount of time we're running it, I'm not too worried about it. I think tomorrow what we'll do tomorrow is I'll put the serpentine belt back on, and I'll put the oil filler spout back in, although really nothing coming out of there. It doesn't really kick too much oil out of there. I still have one of the mounting nuts off of the injector pump in case I needed to change the timing, which you should check that, I guess. Kind of. Don't really have a way to test it, but there's a trick I learned online from watching these guys that if we push in the advanced cylinder on the side, if the engine stalls, I think that kind of gives you a hint at which way you need to change the timing to. Yeah. So I think I have a pry bar or a big screwdriver out here for that.
You should hook up the serpentine.
Well, right now it's kind of nice that I don't have something to chop my hands off. Good.
What? You don't want to be like Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I'm going to have you start it because I want to see what happens when I advance the. Okay, hold on. I got to see exactly where to put this thing on. It's hard to see.
You know what you're supposed to be looking for?
Yeah, there's a thing way down here on the side that gets pushed in on the pump by a lever, and I can't see it. Buried in there. But I know that you're supposed to be able to stick a pry bar or a long screwdriver down in there, push on it, actuate it. Normally it's actuated by cam. When you push the accelerator forward, there's a cam that moves that lever in. And what it does is it changes the timing of the pump as you accelerate. But the idea is if you manually push that in without accelerating, you change the timing at idle. So you advance the timing a little bit while it's idling, and you see how it acts. And that kind of gives you a hint as to whether or not you've got the timing in that sweet spot to talk about. If it's way out, it can damage the engine and shortens the engine life. If it's one way, you get more power. If it's the other way, you get more fuel economy. And I don't know. I don't remember exactly all that mumbo jumbo.
Dad,
What?
look at this.
Yeah, I put that there.
Mine.
All right, so I think I finally figured out at what angle I can get on this thing and push it. So, all right. So go ahead and start it. All right, either I'm not pushing on the right thing or it's making no change at all. I think what I need to do is I need to, I'm not pushing on the right thing. All right, I'm gonna need a flashlight. I can't see what I'm doing. All right, I can clearly see it now. Flashlight. What I need to push some. All right, go ahead and start it up. Alright, so it doesn't stall when I push it in, and it definitely makes a difference. So I think that's good. I think that's what we want. I'll have to read again what I read online, but I'm pretty sure that's what we want. I think if it had stalled when I pushed it in, then it means it needs to be adjusted. I think when it goes to that more of a like a lug thing, I think somebody said when it starts to sound like a power stroke.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, unless it's not good for a GM to sound like a Ford, but
Ford diesel do sound good.
yeah,
So.
it does still seem like it's idling way too high.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think it's doing that? If I had to guess, I guess it's this other solenoid. Let me pull this off just for the hell of it. That's the high idle solenoid. Restart it. You don't have to wait for the glow plugs. It should start right away. Warm enough. Go ahead. All right, hold on. Let me give you a booster here. Ready?
I'm gonna wait for the glow plug to start. Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead. Stop. Oh, it doesn't even want to run with that off. That's interesting. Go ahead. Well, what do I do now? All right, try it and tell me when the glow plugs go off, then I'll set it, okay?
All right.
Hit it. Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. It does. The idle does drop a little bit when I disconnect that high idle solenoid, but it doesn't drop much. I think the idle's set a little too high, but we can mess with that later. Done for tonight. Tomorrow, I'll hook up the serpentine belt, so we have our cooling system back and our charging system back, and then hopefully that tachometer will start acting normal. Right now, the tachometer is bouncing all around. But I think that might be just because the voltage is so low. Well, it wasn't easy, but I ended up getting this all back together. It was tricky because the deleted videos that I had lost basically were me documenting for myself exactly how I took this apart, which bolts went, where studs went, all of that stuff. And turns out when I lost that, and I had to go online searching for the information, I ended up learning a few things I didn't realize, which is that certain studs and bolts need to have Teflon sealant on them because the holes go all the way through into the block. And then other bolts are supposed to have Loctite. So I ended up doing that, and then I ended up getting the torque specs and torquing it all down. Got all this back together, even got the turbo hooked back up. Got the serpentine belt and the alternator all hooked back up. Figuring out how that bracket went was fun. Ended up getting the throttle linkage, all the bracket for the throttle and everything hooked up. I lost, at least temporarily for now, I have misplaced the special clip that holds the throttle cable, accelerated cable on the linkage there. And then I've got this bracket off, which this actually goes behind that on that same post, but it goes behind the accelerated cable. This is for the cruise control. I have one of the two screws for this and somehow misplaced the other one. So I'm still only running one battery, so I'm just going to make sure my positive cable, that's the negative, make sure my positive cable is tucked someplace where it cannot short out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cover that up to make sure that nothing can happen here. And then the only thing I haven't hooked up is my fuel gauge. And last time I started it, the tachometer was acting very erratic. I was hoping maybe that was just a low voltage situation. So now with the alternator hooked back up, we'll see what it does. All right, you want to start it?
Me?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you're standing right there.
Battery.
Yeah, battery's too low.
All right.
Go. So the charging system wasn't charging, and I wiggled a cable on the alternator, and the tachometer started working. So I wonder if the tachometer actually works off of. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm not sure exactly what are you doing?
This stuff fell out.
So this cable right here might be corroded or something. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. A little silicone grease in there already. Contact cleaner on the connector here. Let's see if it restarts hot or warm. Might be just as it's cranking too slow. Let me hook the starter charger up again.
Now.
Go. See it? It's having trouble starting when it's warm.
Why?
I don't know. If this truck was a year newer, I'd say, oh, it's the pump mounted driver's bad.
I'm gonna try again.
There is no pump mounted driver.
I'm gonna try again. Hold on. Go.
Go ahead. Stop. Tell me when you're ready.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Stop.
Battery's too dead.
Yep. You getting the keys to the white truck? All right. I'm gonna go get the other battery in the white truck. Throw it in here. Yeah. Just needs to spin faster. Brakes are locked up.
Rebuild the front brakes.
That's how you line lock.
So we're going to have to rebuild.
That's how you make those burnouts on the road like that. You lock your front brakes and just spin the rear ones.
So you're going to have to rebuild the front ones? Or at least take them out, clean them?
Yeah, at least take them out, take them apart, clean them, and put them back together. But it goes into gear. I think that truck would drive right now if it wasn't for the brakes being locked up.
Is it both brakes?
I can't tell. We'll have to jack up the front and try and spin the wheels. I wouldn't be surprised if it's both.